And now we're done. The first benefit your child can get from this activity and that's the last activity we have for the paper bag. Now, time to go to the bubble wrap. In this video, we're gonna look at ways on how we turn these materials into purposeful play activities and the benefits that your children will get on each one of them. The next material we're gonna work with would be the bubble wrap. So I know, kahit tayo nung bata pa, this is one of the most fun activities we've ever done. Parang every time merong ganito sa bahay, sobrang exciting talaga, pinag-aagawan namin. And you can spend hours and hours, di mo na mamalayan na sobrang saya niya laruin, di ba? So I know now, even adults, hanggang today, nakikip sila ng bubble wrap just so they can keep playing and keep popping the bubble wrap. Minsan nga lang, sobrang napapadami yung bubble wrap na ginagamit sa delivery packages, di ba? Minsan, kahit ang konti or ang liit lang nung item na pinadeliver mo, yung bubble wrap nila sobrang kakapal. And minsan, ang dami na talaga and you just want to find a way to make use of them kasi since all plastic talaga siya, ang hirap naman kapag itapon mo lahat yon, di ba? So, what we're gonna show now are 3 different ways to use bubble wrap at home. The first way for you to play with the bubble wrap would be to just use it as a fidget toy. Yung parang pop it now. If you've noticed, sumisikat talaga yung pop it. Ang dami na niyang forms. From mga T-Rex, to unicorns, to rainbows, to airplanes and robots. Kung ano-anong shapes, and they market it as unlimited bubble wrap. Now, why not give your children the real deal? So, yung bubble wraps natin, a lot of them, sometimes parang hindi nauubos, di ba? So, you can have unlimited hours of fun. Just pop, 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 pop. And yung main benefits nito, number 1 would be the fine motor skills. Since we're using our fingers, in particular, yung pinch talaga natin. Yung connecting ng thumb and the index finger, and then pop, pop, pop. Pero you can also include the middle finger para ma-work on yung tripod grasp ng kid natin. Although that would be a little hard to do, but at least you can introduce something to your kid na bago. You can roll it up, okay? So the same way they're gonna hold the writing materials and then use 3 fingers and pop. Okay, and turn it and pop with 3 fingers. Pop. And 3 fingers again. Pop. So from the texture of the bubble wrap, may additional na sensory input and proprioceptive feedback doon sa fingers nila kung saan nakaposition. And also the sound of the pops would be additional reinforcement for them. So sila na mismo ang ina-expect natin na gagawa on their own kasi it's very rewarding in itself yung pag pop, pop, pop while you're working on strengthening their fingers. The second benefit you get would be the same benefits you get from fidget toys. A lot of people think that they're just distractions, but fidget toys are actually very useful as self-regulation strategies for our children. Watch out for a video because we're gonna talk about how to use pop-its, other fidget toys, and even bubble wraps to help our children focus rather than get distracted kapag ka may focus work silang kailangan in school. We're gonna start by laying down your bubble wrap on the floor. If you have one that's as big as this or even bigger, you can use it to cover more floor area. But if not, you can just connect smaller bits and put them together with tape. For this one, we're gonna use masking tape. I'm just using this thin one to secure the bubble wrap in place because what I want to happen next is for the child to play on the bubble wrap. So while putting it together, you're gonna hear some pops and you can also join them while they're playing with the bubble wrap. You want to do that so your kids can see how you're having fun and you're making it more attractive for them to join you play. So what I want to do now is to form squares that will look like what we use in hopscotch that they can jump on. So we'll start with just 1 here, and then we'll build 2 for the second level. There you go. I'll make this a little bit bigger so they'll have more space. We know they have smaller feet, but just for them to have more room for error. So what's going to happen is they can step on these squares and play hopscotch. 2, 3, 4. The benefits your children will get, as you can see, it is just like regular hopscotch, but they will get a lot more sensory input, in particular tactile and proprioception, or yung touch sensation nila sa feet, and also yung proprioception, letting them know where their body parts are. So especially that this bubble wrap is textured, this is very useful, especially for kids na nagtitiptoe pa lang. Because as you can see, kapag nagtitiptoe sila, they're trying to put a lot of pressure in just one area para mas maramdaman nila. So when you introduce them to the bubble wrap or even to different textured mats like this one and this, mas maraming texture na papasok dun sa feet nila, and they will know and get more information about where their feet are. So you will notice later on na pwedeng may times na mag-down na sila kasi when they step on the bubble wrap, their entire feet receive information. So hopefully, you will see some improvements when you use the bubble wrap for your movement activities. Not just for hopscotch, you can even use this for your other movement activities. You can have just one long line of tape here, and then meron kayong start point and end point. So similar na parang yoga mat na guide nila on where to start and end your animal walks, yung movement activities ninyo. Ang mangyayari naman, for example, you're gonna work with walking or crawling or jumping, the same benefits. They're gonna get more proprioceptive input and somehow more fun din na they can hear all the popping while they're jumping, moving. Wala akong narinig. They can hear more popping while they're jumping, stepping on the bubble wrap. So mas fun siya letting them do their exercises. The third activity that you can do using bubble wrap would be to paint with it. So we already had a painting activity with the paper bags, but for the bubble wrap, you have 2 options. Number 1 would be to cut out some shapes out of the bubble wrap and then use them as stamps. But number 2, which I like more, would be to paint on the bubble wrap. So what we're gonna do is get some paint. Okay, and this is very useful if your kid is kind of sensitive pa with tactile activities. Pag ayaw pa nila ng paint or ayaw pa nila yung mga dipping activities, yung ipapadip mo sa rice, sa pasta, or yung textured materials. So you can use the bubble wrap. So first muna, you can start with rolling activities, yung whole body, magmo-move kayo here, or even just touching, the bubble wrap. At least with that one, start muna kayo with something that's controlled by the kid. Okay, so hindi mo sila agad ipapatouch kasi nga, for example, with the paint naman, kapag nakadip na or nakatouch na sila, medyo mahirap na tanggalin. So, yung ibang kids, nagsistart pa lang kayo, iiyak na agad with the paint. So, with this one, yung mga ganitong textured activities, they can start muna with something na controlled nila. That means, kahit konti lang muna, or they can spend a few seconds, tapos tanggal, few seconds, tanggal, and then more body parts para nakaspread out yung texture, and then tanggal. And later on, you can add the paint na. So now, we're gonna have some paint, okay? Pwede yung first nyo muna na expectation for them would just to spread it out. So you can pour out the paint. Okay, so start natin dito. Okay, and they can just spread it out. They'll use their fingers to spread out the paint. Okay, so you're gonna expect kapag very sensitive pa, some kids would just touch and then wipe. Touch and then wipe. What's good with the bubble wrap is protected yung floor ninyo, protected yung carpet ninyo. But of course, better pa rin kapag medyo malayo kayo dun sa area na ayaw nyo malagyan ng paint. So here we'll just spread it out. You can put more paint kahit sa entire hand nila. Okay, so like that. And then stamp, stamp, stamp. Okay lang yan if it gets really messy. That's the goal that you want sa mga ganitong activities. Okay lang yan kapag makalat, madumi. Ako personally, the more makalat, the better. So, okay yan siya for me if they just spread it out. Okay? Mahirap lang during cleanup, but at least napapayag mo yung kids mo and they're having fun dun sa activities na dati inaayawan nila. We can have another color. Later on, you will see your kid. Okay, ang next progression ninyo, after them trying to touch it, is sila na yung papayag na kumuha ng paint from the paint bottle. And then, lagay dun sa bubble wrap. Ayan. Okay, we'll get another color. So, look at that. All the tactile, the visual, pati nga olfactory or yung smell, di ba? Merong additional sensory input. Wag lang yung taste. Ayaw natin ilagay nila sa mouth nila. But here you go. Another stamp. That's it. Pwede rin feet nila yung gagamitin. So you can spread out the paint over their feet tapos isa-step on nila. We're down to the last material, cardboard boxes. You can have taking turns, you can have sharing the same toy, especially if they have siblings. Incy Wincy Spider went up the water spout. Up. Medyo mahirap.